been a bigger girl, so I had insecurity issues. I would honestly say probably until my junior year of college. And just to be able to take that, and then I had to go to college knowing that I was insecure. People have always doubted me,
Yeah.
you only got the scholarship because you're big type stuff or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
I dealt with a lot of insecurity.
Y'all already know it's Talkers vs. Doers podcast, but certainly a doer of the game, doer of female sports. Coach Krystle, how are you today?
I am good. How are you?
I am well. I am well. I'm so excited. We just gonna jump right into it because it ain't no need to wait. When you gotta go, you don't keep them waiting.
Oh, no, no,
Come
no.
on now, when you gotta go, you can't even keep them waiting. So first, we just gonna jump into it because some of y'all athletes and coaches are saying, "Who is this individual? Who is this great person?" So I said I was gonna talk about it instead. I'm gonna just show you. I want y'all to just take a minute and look at all these different stats up here. Like the proof is in the pudding. When they say write it and make it plain, it is plain right there of all the accolades and accomplishments she has completed and still going. Because I know I always say you just getting started. So much more is to come because God is going to continue to bless you. So first, just congratulate you for all that you have completed.
Thank you
We
so much.
thank you. We thank you. I think a big thing, especially in our city in Birmingham, we do not acknowledge our coaches, especially female coaches, enough. We don't say enough grace because female sports is not easy, baby. These emotions that we have is not easy. So congratulate you now. Continue to pour your flowers while you are here now with those. And with that being said, though, what is like something you can say one of those was your best thing or something you just gonna remember? And to all her former athletes, she love all y'all. But what is one of those accomplishments you just like, man, that
I
really
have to
did it?
say, my first year as a head coach, it was at Huntsville High School, 2012-2013 season. Just going in there, I knew they had a lot of young talent, but I didn't know anything about the city, the school, the area, nothing. And we made it to regionals for the first time in school history. We made it to state for the first time in school history. And at the time, we had the best record in school history. So just that first year, because that was like the beginning of everything, I
Mhm.
would have to say that's probably one of my favorite moments, just because it was just a lot of emotion. There's like a picture of me and my mom hugging. We upset Shays Valley at
Oh,
the time,
okay.
and it was a big upset because they were number one in the state, um, and they had actually beat Hoover twice. So it was like a big thing for us to upset them. Nobody knew who Huntsville was, and just to be able to put that program on the map and go in there in that first year and make such strides, that was a huge moment.
Okay. Congrats on a huge moment. And I heard you say in there that that was a turn for you. So was that a stage in your life where you was like, I know I can do this. I got this.
So originally, I was not even gonna take a head coaching job. So my story is I was an assistant for Coach Donnie Quinn here at Hoover, and then he left and went to the University of Alabama. And when the new coach came in, I was basically content staying as the JV coach and
Mhm.
helping with varsity. And him and Coach Tim Miller from Hazel Green kind of pushed me out, and they were like, "You need to go out and get a head coaching job." So I went out, I got that job, and that's why I feel like that season was a turning point for me, because I'm from Hoover. So leaving Hoover to go to Huntsville, which is an unfamiliar place, coaching kids I'd never seen. No, I didn't know anything about Huntsville High when I went there. So
Mhm.
it kind of gave me confirmation that I was capable of running a program by myself, and for that program to be successful, and kind of doing the same thing that we are now doing at Hoover.
Yes, I love it. And for the ones listening, I hope you caught that. Sometimes we don't always believe in ourselves, but we have to be surrounded by a circle of positive people that see what we don't see. So
Hmm.
just imagine at that time, you guys, she would have been like, no, I'm staying at Hoover. I'm staying where I know. But sometimes the best thing happen when you get out your own way, your own environment, and allow God to work. And it went from him working and doing that. And again, having a positive environment of people around you is so important, especially when you're working with youth. And also going back, I heard you saying about you and your mom. One thing I've been knowing you sitting in the city for years. Unfortunately, had a chance to play against you. Um, and I'm gonna be proud about it because I'm a doer. I'm doing my thing now at Ensley High School. And every time we had the Orange Classic, I dreaded because I knew But the thing was, because even though I went through a time frame of playing at such school, it taught me so much resilience on it. So you've been doing it for a while, and with your mom, you guys had a U team. So how was that growing up with you playing basketball, being surrounded by your parents as well doing that thing?
I think it's one of the reasons why I know the game so well. So I started playing before my dad started coaching, and then probably I think 1 or 2 years into my playing career is when they started working with Coach Bell that we know with the Alabama Roadrunners, and then they ventured off and started the Alabama Twisters. So I was able to not just play basketball, but obviously be around it, because even when I didn't play for my dad, obviously that was my ride. So
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't just leave the gym when my game was over. I had to stay and watch other people play. And he coached the older girls. So I got to watch people like Gwen Jackson and some of the girls from Butler back in the day, Butler High School, which was
Yeah,
like super dominant. And it just allowed me
crazy.
to learn the game. And I think that's why now one of the best things I feel like about myself is my basketball IQ, because I've watched so many different people, coaches, players, teams, programs, systems, and it's just allowed me to be able to, dabble in a little bit of everything and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of understand the game better than most people, because a lot of kids don't watch as much as they used to. We used to
Definitely.
watch all the time, all the AAU games and whatever games were on TV, because WNBA started in '97, I believe, so that was my freshman year of high school, and just having to live in the gym
Mhm.
basically allowed me to just watch the game and know the
And
game.
I love what you said again, my athletes that are watching. You heard her say watch. Like when we play ball and summer ball, we sit down and watch. Y'all get
Hmm.
up now, want to walk around and TikTok.
Or on the
But you learn,
phone.
yes, you learn the game when you're watching your opponents. You have to understand. What we have to remember is always another girl hungrier than you. There's always another coach hungrier than you. So you
Right.
have to sit down and watch the game, ladies. You hearing it from someone right now with all the accolades, you seen that she watched the game. But
Hmm.
in that you watched the game, you grew up seeing the game, the support system. As we talk about health and wellness in this, was that something that was very huge and needed? Because a lot of parents don't understand the support system is so vital when it comes to their child playing.
For sure. And it wasn't just my parents. The Alabama Roadrunners, that's the AAU team I played for, it was very much like a family. So
Mhm.
the older girls watched out for the younger girls, and everybody just kind of looked out for each other. So if you had an issue, there was somebody in that organization, whether it were a child or an adult, who probably had been through the issue, understood. You could have somebody that you feel comfortable talking to, because we were always together. Like we would be over there, we known in that hot gym,
Ooh,
practicing about
yeah.
3, 4, 5 hours a day
Hmm.
on the weekends, and you get the bond because
Yeah.
we're all dealing with the same issues mainly. So just being able to have that support system in that program, and then also in my family, because my family has always been pretty supportive of me as a player and as a coach, and then that also kind of transferred over to school ball. In middle school, I think when I was in middle school, this was before they created the 50% rule. So a lot of the girls I played AAU with, I also played in school with. And
Hmm.
then once I got to Hoover, I definitely needed that support system, because that was a whole different world from what I was used to. And I made friends pretty quickly back in the day. The demographics at Hoover were a little different than they are now. So
Okay.
a lot of the black athletes, we bonded pretty quickly because we were,
Okay.
familiar face. So I had that support system. My two best friends are males, and they ran track, but they were at every one of my games in high school. So
I love it.
yeah, so I was kind of covered at all turns. And then my granddad is a pastor, so I had the people at church, I had my family in the house, I had my family with the road runners with my school, and I had my friends. So I've been
Amazing.
covered and supported from all angles.
Love that support system. So vital, you guys. And like I said, you've been doing this practically, we just say majority of your life. And sometimes athletes, they feel like they're alone, especially female athletes. So were there any challenges first as a player that you face and then as a coach that you face?
For sure. My biggest challenge was I went from 5'10" to 6'2", from 5th grade to 6th grade. So that was back in the day when we used to, say people were in the flood.
Hmm.
And I've always been a bigger girl, so I had insecurity issues. I would honestly say probably until my junior year of college. And just to be able to take take that, and then I had to go to college knowing that I was insecure. People have always doubted me,
Yeah.
you only got the scholarship because you're big type stuff or whatever it was. So
Yeah.
I dealt with a lot of insecurity growing up, probably into my junior year. And then once I kind of, grew up and realized and looked in the mirror and started to appreciate myself more,
Definitely.
I think that's when a lot of that faded. But you wouldn't have been able to tell when I was younger because I kind of used it to like lash out at others.
Mm-hmm.
So I was, I wouldn't say a bully, but I did talk about people a lot to try to keep the attention off of me and what my
Yeah.
flaws were.
No.
So I dealt with that for a long time, and that actually helps me a lot now because I can see that in my players. Like when I
Right.
have a player that's like constantly talking about somebody else, I mean, automatically I know, like
Mm-hmm.
I know
What's
why you're
going
talking
on?
about it. It's not about that person; it's about you. So I try to have that conversation with them and just be vulnerable with them and let them know I've been through it.
Right.
You can't tell now because like I said, now that I know myself, appreciate myself, know who I am in God, I'm not the least bit insecure, but I had about 6, 7, 8 years of just dealing with
Right.
it. As a coach, I think the only issue I deal with, honestly, is that I want to solve everything.
Okay.
And as a coach, there's going to be some situations I can't solve. I'm not going to be able to explain to every parent why your daughter isn't playing or why
Mm-hmm.
she isn't getting the shots that you want her to get or why she doesn't have the role that you want her to have. And I struggle with that yearly. I mean, even this team that's coming up, like I can already foresee the issues that I'm going to have because I want it to be a solution.
Yeah.
And I kind of had to realize that sometimes, especially when it comes to parents, they're going to feel how they feel about their daughter, rightfully so. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a lot I can do to change that. So all
Yeah.
I can do is just be as transparent, open, and honest as I can be. And hopefully they understand it. But at the end of the day, like I'm not here for everybody to like me. I'm
Come on
here
now, coach.
to I'm here to give my players the best me so they're making somebody mad or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I can't control that. So I have to
Yeah.
give it to the one that can. And that's really all I can do. Just if I know I'm giving my all and doing my best and being honest with my players, I can't
Yeah.
control the other stuff. But
I
I would say
love
that's
it.
probably the biggest issue everybody wants. I mean, especially because we've been successful and everybody wants a piece of it. And
Yeah.
it's like getting them to understand you don't have to be on the floor every minute to be a part of what we have going
You can
on.
be the
It's
best
all,
cheerleader. You can be the best
I mean,
teammate.
supporter. Like we had a girl two
Yeah.
years ago. She was a senior and she literally kept our team together. Like we had a couple clicks on our team. And if it wasn't for her being in the middle, I don't know if that team would have been able to function because
Wow.
she was able to talk to both sides.
Yeah.
And as coaches, we saw it and appreciated it. But of course, as a player, and even her mom, like, she was
Mm-hmm.
upset about her playing time. And it was like, the role that she's playing is literally keeping this team together.
Yeah.
So just being able to get kids to understand that and just dealing with the frustration of sometimes they're not going to get it. Not
Mm-hmm.
right now. I mean, I didn't get it when I was younger. I just wanted to be on the court. So
You
I have
wanted to
that
play.
understanding. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So since
I
I have
love
that
it.
understanding, I got a little grace with them and patience because I understand it's not easy to get as a 14 through 17-year old. I'm
Mm-hmm.
41, so of course I get it now. But 20 years ago, no, I didn't get it either.
Ready? You ready? I'm ready to play. I'm on the team. How about this spirit pack? Let's go. I want to play. But I love what you said going back to growing up, some of the challenges. And again, I like to hit on these topics to make this podcast totally transparent and different because we don't talk about these things.
Hmm.
And that's a health and wellness coach that specializes in working with female athletes when it comes to self-confidence, emotion, and those things. You mentioned that you struggle with that. So athletes listening to this, you're not alone. That's what I want you guys to know. You're not alone. But one of the things that I want is more communities, more places, more schools to be able to provide these services to kids because a lot of kids are struggling with stuff. Some of the best kids are the ones, like you said, you was dominant. You did that, but you had to cover up some of your emotions. And I believe as the sports continue to grow, we got to be able to talk about that mental, social, and emotional issues that these young ladies are going through and growing with because everybody don't have a support system around like you had to get them to
Hmm.
that next level.
Yeah,
So that is huge right there. So going with that, I love that you said that you are able to be vulnerable to them and make that. But would you say that we need more when it comes, especially within the female athlete community, more programs and resources that are able to connect with our youth in that way?
definitely. I think one of the things that I've learned just as a teacher over the years is kids don't, I think the saying goes, they don't care what you know until they know that you care.
Mm,
So a lot of times as adults, we feel like you should just listen to us because we're an adult. Well, you got to connect with kids. They have to know that there's a reason that I need to listen to you.
yeah,
Telling them your story, being vulnerable with them, opening up and letting them know, hey, I've been there, I've done that, and I've made it through that. Sometimes it can be that connection that that child needs that would allow them to listen to you. But
hmm,
in their eyes, we're grown, we got cars, houses, you got everything going on. There's no way you have any problems. And it's like, no, I may not have those issues now,
right,
but when I was your age and when I was in your shoes, I had those same problems. So I definitely think just people being open and honest with kids,
hmm,
like telling you as a teacher, they tell us all the time, don't let them too much into your business. And I agree with that. But at the same token, they need to know that we're humans.
yeah,
And I think that's one of the things I take pride in the classroom and with my team is just making sure they understand that I'm human just like them. I got the same emotions. I had some of the same feelings that you had back when I was younger. And I think that helps kids connect and
right,
then they will want to listen.
right, right.
But I
But
think
you
we
got to
just kind
show
of start
them.
right. We just start off with I'm grown, I've been through. You should listen to me, but it's like you don't know what kind of walls these kids got up. You
Yeah.
don't know who hurt them, what type of trauma they're dealing with. You gotta connect to them in some way for them to understand that I'm telling you this because I care, and not just I'm barking at you because I'm an adult.
Right. And also going into what you said too, because great information on that. Like I can go all day on that. We're gonna put some more in on that because again, the confidence within female sports is not spoken about a lot. A lot of girls are out there because parents want them to be out there. A
Right.
lot of girls are out there because parents purchase a spirit pack. A lot of girls are out there, but they haven't put the work in. So going what you said, that challenge of being able to play all kids and parents getting mad. So speaking on that, what are some thoughts or just things you can give to some of these parents on how to have your kid ready when it comes to that? Because you guys need to hear like it's level to this. It's
Yeah.
not just money, but levels. What are some things that they can have their child ready when it comes to playing?
I would just say being able to honestly evaluate their child, the level they play at. And that's one reason why we try to make our schedule hard at Hoover. It's real easy to think that you're doing something if you're playing local teams all the time, beating them by 20, 30
Mhm.
points. And we try to go out and play out of state teams. Georgia, hotbed for talent. So it's like, I don't know, but a part of me as a non-parent, because I don't have any kids, sometimes I wonder, like, will they see it? Because I feel like a lot of parents are so team their daughter, which, like I
Mhm.
said, rightfully so, that they have trouble seeing things from the side that you see it. So for that reason, I'm a math person. I provide numbers, stat sheets. I pull clips. I do whatever it is that I can do to try to help them understand. But I do know that at the end of the day, they're gonna be on their daughter's side. Um, so I would just say, just get your child ready for the highest level. A lot of times we prepare them for the local level, and that's all fine and dandy if you're playing on the team that doesn't plan on doing anything outside of the city of Birmingham. But if you want to get out and be successful outside the city of Birmingham, across the state, you have to prepare your child for that. So put them in a position where go out and watch some of these teams and
Mhm.
emulate some of the stuff that they see people that play their position do. Like, can you do that move? Can you make that shot consistently? Um, and just evaluate them honestly. I know nowadays we got a lot of trainers out here, so even with that, like I try to stay in constant communication with the kids, the people that train my kids, just so
I
I can
love
be
it.
like, here's what she needs to do.
Mhm.
They come to our games, which is great. I have one of the trainers who's linked to our huddle, so he can watch practice, he can watch games, just so everybody's on the same page about here's the strengths, here's the weaknesses, here's what we've been trying to work on in practice, here's what y'all can continue to work on when you have a training session. But I honestly don't. I'm telling you, I've kind of gotten to the point, especially now, where I don't know if it's impossible. I mean, I just don't think it's possible for parents to see things the way I see it every time.
Mhm.
But I try to provide as many resources as possible to help them. So stat sheets, huddle, I record everything, practice, shoot around, games, all of it.
Look, like coach, like I'm covering my tail. Like
right.
you go
we need to
see
have
it.
that conversation. I'm gonna back it up with, it's not just my thoughts, so that you don't have the people that say, oh well, she don't like her. No, I can play people I'm not fond of if they're getting the job done.
Right.
So for me, it's about the production, and that's across the board. Like I said, in practice, in games, at all times, in workouts even. We have a strength coach. So he and I talk pretty regularly about who's working hard, who's not working hard, and he'll say, like, you're going to be able to depend on this person or whatever. Just making sure across all aspects that I cover every single part of the evaluation of a player so that parents can hopefully understand. But like I said, I'm not sure if it's going to be.
No, I love what you are doing because I don't hear a lot of coaches saying that. And again, that's what makes you so unique because you're so devoted into your team and making them better as a whole. But like you said, having the stats, having the recordings for our parents, you don't have a lot of coaches out there doing that. And so you're already preparing them for the next level and having that. So it's like, here you go, is right here, parents. And not only that, you spoke about having one of the trainers being in a huddle. So it's a community of having a community of people that you trust and know that's going to help shape that child. And that's different. Everybody don't have that. So that goes to the parents listening. You got to be first, you just got to get out your feelings. You got to get out your feelings. Get out your feelings.
That's step one.
Yeah. And do what's best for your child, but doing what's best for your child is doing what's best for your team too. And being a former coach, that's why I used to tell parents, it's not just about your child. If I put your child out there with one person against them five, she's not going to win. So it's doing things that's going to connect her with that. And sometimes that means you may sit that freshman, sophomore year to get better. But it's okay, parents, because if you're putting in work and that child is putting in work, eventually it got to show up somewhere. That mix got to show up. So I commend you on doing that and allowing the trainer to just be able to see that part as well. And take notes, coaches. Get your stat sheet, get your camera, get all that, have it on display because she is ready with that. Also, we now want to go with the athletes. So if we're looking at athletes saying, hey, I want to come play over there to Hoover, like, what you telling them? Because I'm sure you have a lot of kids that come up to you or kids that transfer into the schools. Like, what do you tell them that they need? And also, are there anything that you say that they need mentally to be prepared for playing up under you?
Well, once we get to the point that I can actually talk to them, because I'm not supposed to talk to them, so I try to I'm very standoffish when I'm in public because I know I'm not supposed to talk to people, but I can't stop people from coming up and talking to me.
Right.
But once I can talk to them, I just let them know, like, playing at Hoover is not for everybody. Like, it's hard to play at Hoover. You're going to be tested mentally, physically, every day. The only month we truly have off is July. That's it. So you're talking about 11 months of lifting weights, conditioning, agility, playing basketball. We do off-season shooting, in-season shooting. Like, when we get out of practice, practice is not over. So just having, like, everybody sees the trophies and the rings, and that's all they want. Like, I just want to play for Hoover so I can win. It's like, it's a commitment. And if you're not ready to make that commitment, one, you got a team full of people that are going to hold you accountable because that's just the culture we've created. And then you got coaches that are going to hold you accountable. And if it really is not what you want, it's not going to work. So I just try to be as honest as I can. And it's for that reason I've never found myself in a position where I'm begging players because I'm like, it's too hard to play over here for me to be trying to make promises to people. I think the best story of that is Renaya Kelly. Like her dad reached out to me when she was in 7th grade, and because of the rules of Alabama high school, I basically ignored them. And he was telling me once she got here, he was like, you were the only coach that would not talk to me. Like, he had players sending him to real estate agents, all sorts of stuff. He was like, but you would not talk to us. And he was like, he basically told his wife, you know, that's who I want her to play for because she's following the rules and everybody else is not. And even with that, like, when she got over here, like, it wasn't always easy for Renaya. She worked her butt off. And I think players like that come through this program and they make it look easy, but no, there was struggle from the time she got here and even when she left. So I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about, we try to let our program speak for itself. We know our school speaks for itself academically and in all aspects. Just everybody knows where Hoover High School is, but playing for Hoover is not for everybody. And if you're not willing to work hard, put the team first, and that means in all aspects, playing time, holding people accountable, being a good teammate. It's hard to play here just because we operate like a business, like a college. And we have fun, but at the same token, it's the most fun time is holding up those trophies at the end of the season. So
yes, it is, but it's work.
so it's like and I think that's why the way our girls work, I'm always so emotional when we win, because I know how much they went through. Like I know how much was put in to get to that point, that it's like I'm so happy that they got to see the fruits of their labor.
Yeah, definitely the fruits. And what you saying that you have several young ladies that have left Hoover High and in college. Like, how does that make you feel when you're able to say, I was an aspect of
it? It feels awesome. I think one of the best things is when they call back and they say, this is easy. Like, I know my struggles when I went to college, and I know that kind of goes into how I built my program. Like, I want them to be prepared for everything.
Yeah.
So just when they call back, and we've had players talking about the weight room, practice, whatever, this is easy. Or I've had college coaches that say, she's so prepared to play. Like that really is like, okay, so we are doing what we're supposed to be doing. And yeah, it's hard. So the girls that are here, they probably don't realize it now, but when you get to college and you don't have that adjustment period, that's when it'll be more apparent to you that everything that you went through was worth it. So that's a great feeling. Like, I don't think we have yet to have a single player call back and say this is too hard, or quit for basketball reasons. They may quit for other reasons, but like not because basketball is too hard for them.
Yes. And also going into that again, they went to that next level. They're excited. They put in work, but they had to put in work in the classroom too, as well, to get to that level. Like, just outside of basketball, what do you guys do with your girls just to still let them know that you are a student athlete first? What are some things you implement? Because you see so many girls that all they know is basketball, all they know is sports, or the volleyball or whatever. So what are some things that you guys do to make them still feel, okay, I can do this and have a life?
So we check grades for sure. One of my assistant coaches, he works in the ISS, so he checks a little bit more often than I do because I have my own students. But we also have goals that they can reach. Like if you make an A on a test, or if you get an A in a class, you get what's called a marble. We have this marble system that we do for goals, and it's like a team jar and an individual jar, and they take pride in getting their marbles, because you may have a player, and it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, that is not playing as much, but she is doing well in the classroom, representing our program great in the classroom. So that also is another aspect of representing the team. And that's mainly what we do. I do know that normally when somebody tells me they want to play in college, we make sure to get them in touch with the college and career counselor that we have at Hoover to start checking for clearinghouse and stuff like that, because you'll be amazed that even though we do all those little sessions at the AAU tournament, sometimes they don't really know. They just sitting in there because they know it's required.
Yeah.
So they're not really paying attention, and just making sure all their classes are lined up and that they got every class they need to make sure they'll be eligible and all that good stuff. But we check grades pretty often. It's pretty easy to check grades at Hoover on Power School.
I got it. I love it. Academics, still making sure that is a priority, and having something for them to want to reach, that goal setting of something else. So thank you for that. And I'm always saying that to coaches, because I'm so big on coaches pouring other things into those kids. Because we're going to be honest, every kid is not going to go to college. Every kid may not make that team, even though they leave out, they may not make it. But we want to make sure that they're surrounded with schools and coaches as yourself that's still pouring into them.
Right.
And
I think it helps that I'm a math teacher too. So
so numbers.
I don't just teach PE. So, and no offense to any coaches that teach PE, but like I'm in the academic setting with kids all the time. So I kind of know what the homework load looks like. I know when they're having tests and quizzes and stuff like that. So I try to make sure I keep that in mind as far as time and not taking up too much of their time, because obviously school comes first, because without grades, they can't play.
Yeah.
So I guess just being on that side and having to deal with so many of my own students, it kind of allows me to just have that sympathy towards them and make sure I'm giving them the time they need. And when it comes to math, they know they can ask me for help. I've tutored a lot of my players. And then we try to find somebody that knows something. I used to have a coach that was a history teacher. So he used to help with history. But we try to help them out as much as we can with stuff like that and just staying on them and making sure they're getting stuff turned in on time and stuff like that.
Got it. Again, community.
Yep.
Community impact. Again, you guys seeing why the organization she has built is so different from other organizations. It is not just that sport, it's so many other things that you have going on. And so what are your thoughts of where you think female sports is headed? You know, all the trends, everything going on. What do you think we headed to now?
I think we're definitely about to take it to another level. I love the exposure that these girls are getting.
Yes.
These women are getting. All the teams. Like I was looking the other day, it's like some overtime select teams or something, and just seeing some of the coaches that are being allowed to pour into the lives of people that aren't at their school. It's just, to me, that's growing the game. Like even I just came back from Colorado and I was on the USA under 17.
Yes.
I was at their
Shout out to
tryouts.
you. Definitely.
Yeah, and just that being out there and like, because obviously I only deal with the players that are zoned to Hoover, but to see some of the talent that was in the room, and it's just growing the game, the popularity of the game. The players are known more, they're getting more recognition, they're on TV, and then you got everything that's going on in the WNBA to add to the things that are going on at the college level, and then it's kind of getting down to the high school level. Like you can look on some of these Instagram pages, and they highlight a lot of high school
Yeah.
athletes.
And
So
that's
I
what I was
think
going to say too. How do you think it's reflecting for the high school girls too now, and where you thinking it's going on? Because we have the NIL deals that is dropping down in high school too. So where do you see, or where you would like to see that, like in high school? Your thoughts on it?
I think NIL is a good idea. I just think we also need to make sure these kids are being educated on
Come
a
on.
lot of this stuff, because there's a lot about finances that kids don't know about. And I think as adults, the community, like you talked about, it's our job to make sure they understand all the things that go into that, instead of just being like, I got this money. Well, let's make sure we invest it well. We're using it for a reason. Because I am kind of, I don't want to say frugal, but I'm a little cheap. I don't really overdo it. I've never been like
Ain't no need to.
a shoe person. Like, just
Mm-hmm.
I just think that it can be a problem if these kids are getting money so early. If
Yeah.
they start mismanaging at such a young age, it could lead to a lifetime of mismanaging. So I just think that their community, whoever that may be, needs to be involved in making sure they understand, they budget, they save, and they do stuff like that, so that they're just not out here spending money like crazy. But I think if you've earned it, like I'm telling you, because of how hard our girls work, I would be elated for one of them if they got an NIL deal, because they work so hard, and I just know how many hours they put into their craft, and to be able to, reap the benefits of that. Like, I think it's great.
Awesome. And we're not just going to run past that. You talked about the 17U USA being called to that. Tell us a little bit about that and how you felt about that. Because again, we got to give you your flowers while you're here now, sis. So I love that. I seen it. I know so many people just on social media too was applauding you for that. So how was that?
It was awesome. When I got out there, I kind of asked, because I just wanted to know, like, how did I get here? So just to hear the process of how I was selected even was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Like, it's a blessing. And just being in that room, like, it was so much talent. I mean, we've had some really good teams at Hoover, but there were 44, 42, I think, really, really talented girls in that room. And just seeing the process of like how they ran practice and how they were evaluating and watching them play and implement things, and it was amazing. Like, I'm excited to see what they're gonna do when they go to the World Cup. I also am excited about maybe being chosen again to experience that again, because it was a
And you
great
will.
experience. And it was grueling for those days that we were there. Like, they had a very strict schedule, breakfast, practice, treatment. Like, it was all lined up.
Wow.
Seeing some of the things that we do at Hoover, even, it was just like, okay, so this is good that we're doing this at that level.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think one of the things that I got is, I think a lot of coaches think that the issues that you have are based on the talent pool that you have. No. Some of the same issues that we have at Hoover, we were having in them 3 days in Colorado. So it was kind of like refreshing to know I'm not the only one dealing with this as a coach. And then seeing how someone else dealt with it. Because obviously that's not my program the way it is at Hoover. So I got to watch how they navigated the things that I also have to navigate and figure out, okay, would I rather do it that way? Do I like the way I'm doing it? Or, tweak it a little bit for my program. But it was a great experience. Like I came back with drills. My player said I came back mad. I said, well, they was moving a lot faster out there than what I'm watching in this Jeep right now.
Well, I'm gonna need y'all to move too, because of that you've been exposed, and I love that as coaches, more coaches need to be exposed to other things, and that's a big thing. And I'm going to say, and I know people say it's everywhere, but also within the city, we got a lot of coaches that's been coaching at some places for the last 15, 20 years, and you still doing the same thing. You got to get out of there. You got to get exposed. You got to get out of Ansley. You got to get out of just your areas of Mount Brook to expose these girls to some other things. Because like you said, you're not the only one. Everybody's going through something, and at every level, a girl is going to be challenged. We all know as females, and we also know as women that we struggle with things. So just because you're on a sports team doesn't mean that trauma and those other things going to go away. But the thing is, you get more educated. You get more knowledge. Stop saying no to every door that come to you to say, can we be of help? Can we bring service to you? Because you can't do it alone. And guess what? Some of your coaches, them assistants, they ain't qualified. I ain't know nobody staff, so I could talk about this. Y'all got some coaches that ain't qualified. Y'all got a lot of coaches that want to hold up a trophy and take pictures. But your primary focus should be those kids and putting them to that next level. And once we get out the way and focus on these young girls and say, what can I do to make the team better and not just myself? Because if you're working on the girls, even the girls now that I coached back then and had with an AU, they will run through a brick wall for me. Because what I poured into them, and like you said, the vulnerability that I gave to them, and they knew I wanted. So coaches, y'all got to get out of it. Maybe you wasn't selected or chosen, but put an application in to go to some of these coaches camps and things.
Yeah, the clinics. I go to clinics too. I go watch college coaches practice.
Come on.
I just try to learn as much as I can. At Hoover, they always tell us as teachers, you should be lifetime learners.
Yes.
So I feel like I'm gonna take that same approach as a coach. I don't ever want to get to the point where I feel like I know everything, because that's impossible. So I'm always trying to make sure I'm learning. And you mentioned assistant coaches, so I got to mention I got some incredible assistant coaches. One of my assistant coaches has been coaching longer than I've been alive. So
wow,
he pours into me.
Shout out to the assistant coaches that's out there really working.
Right. And mine are working. I got one that he doesn't work at Hoover, but he's probably up there more than some teachers, because he's there for morning workouts. He goes to work. He comes back for practice. He stays after. He rebounds. And I mean, my assistants we're all involved in every aspect of it.
Yeah.
And that I think is something that people don't. I try to talk about my assistant coaches as much as possible, because I feel like all they want to talk about is me. And it's like, we're a team.
Yeah.
And we got a well-oiled machine over there. And everybody is doing their part. And everybody is scouting. Everybody's giving input. Discussions are very meaningful. We're always trying to make sure we're getting the upper hand as far as the coaches are concerned, and knowing exactly what our players need to do to be successful. And that's huge.
Yeah, man, I love it. Again, y'all see why she is a Doer. Y'all see why things are rolling the way that is rolling, because of the system. And like they say, it starts with the head, and you can see from the head it flows down, as she said, with the assistant coaches. So that is just so great to hear all the things that you guys are doing. And is there anything you guys got coming up soon that the public need to know about, or anything that you're working on?
No, we just finished June. I asked the girls and the parents, give me the month of June, and then y'all can have the rest. So we started practice the day after I got back from Colorado, actually, and we participated in, I think, 6 play dates. We finished 17-2 this summer. We lost to Hazel Green, which is 7-time defending 6A state champs. And then we lost to Hebron Christian, which phenomenal team
really?
Out of Georgia. So just to be able to get through June, because we have practice workouts, we basically have 2-a-days every day.
Mm-hmm.
I think the girls have a much needed rest coming up. We still do shooting throughout the summer, so they can get in the gym unless it's an off week or whatever. But other than we just basically got, we have our big Orange Classic, which is in December. We also host a Martin Luther King event on that Monday, Martin Luther King Day. So just looking out for all that stuff on our Twitter and stuff like that. But right now we don't have much coming up. Just girls grinding, getting ready for the season, learning from whatever they learned in June, and trying to figure out what are those weaknesses, and let's turn those weaknesses into strengths by the time we start playing again.
And most definitely, we're gonna get that too, so we can drop you guys Twitter on there as well. And I love what you said, and ending with that, turning those weaknesses and strengths. That is definitely needed throughout. One of the biggest things I hope you get athletes got from this, and parents, but most important, athletes, the work that you got to put in. It's not easy. It's work. In the beginning, we talked about it was challenges for her as a player, as a coach, but the mentality to keep going, the mentality to keep working and putting yourself around people. So make sure you guys are doing that. And any lasting words that you want to put out there, Coach Krystle, just to give to athletes or parents, anything just to lead them with?
I would just say make sure you are walking in your purpose. I'm a very devout Christian, so I think
Mm-hmm.
what is also making my job easier is I know for a fact I am doing what the Lord put me here
Come
to do.
on.
And so for that reason, this doesn't feel like a job to me. Like, I get told all the time, you do so much, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm doing a lot. I feel like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So just players, coaches, even parents, like, really ask yourself, is this something that you feel like you're supposed to be doing? Because when you know you're supposed to be doing it, sometimes it's easier to handle those hard
Mm-hmm.
situations. And that could help with the parents being upset about stuff, because you need to know that your child knows this is what I want to do. Everything that you're investing in me is for a reason, and it may not result in state championships or all American or whatever it is, but being a part of a team can build young people in such a way like you would never imagine. Like, I know for sure my life is being shaped every day from the things I learned as a player and the things that I'm trying to teach as a coach. So just making sure that you're walking in your purpose, staying as close to God as possible, because he's with you at all turns. So everything you're going through, he's always there. And just know that I'm doing this because it's what I'm supposed to be doing.
I love it. Walking in purpose. Well, that's it, y'all. I don't even got nothing else to say out of that. But y'all know what it is. It's your girl, Coach Perry. And look, don't just talk about change. Be a doer of change that you desire to see. Why? Because you deserve it. Guess what?